Welcome back to another episode of Thinking That Matters. I'm Elizabeth Mahusai, your podcast host, and I am excited to welcome Jana O'Guin to the studio. She is the author of The Forgotten Women of Kenya, and I am so excited for you all to hear from her today. So please, Jana, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and we will launch in.
Well, I'm the founder of Building Families for Tomorrow. We started in 2016, and we focus on helping women coming from prison in Kenya to be able to have a new start in life.
Okay, so women that were in prison, what would be typically the reason why they were in prison?
That's a great question. The reason they're in prison is because of poverty.
Tell me more.
Most of the women that are in prison, well, 70% of them are innocent, and they've been falsely accused, and they can't pay bail. They don't have any recourse, so they have to stay in prison until they go to trial. It could be weeks or even years.
Really?
Yes. And so, but when they're released, they have the same stigma as women that were guilty of serious crimes.
Wow. So what got you passionate about helping these women?
Yeah. Well, I went on a mission trip in 2005, so over 21 years ago. And we went to Kitale, Kenya. And we visited schools and churches, and we went into a men's prison, and we brought gifts and things like that. And as we were leaving, one of the officers said something about the women, and I asked about it because I'd already realized that women weren't treated very well there. And he said, oh yeah, they were on the other side of the wall from where we were standing. And I said, why weren't they invited? And he just said, I forgot about them.
Wow.
So my book, The Forgotten Women of Kenya.
That's where that came from.
Yeah, so I asked to see them, and I was able to go in and meet with the women.
And how did that change you?
It broke my heart. You know, I saw about 70 women sitting on the dirt, wearing torn uniforms, and a bunch of little kids running around and being passed around. And
the kids were in there with them?
Yes. They can have kids in prison up to age 4, and then they have to leave. And I was just shocked by that. Because if I had been born in Kenya, this is what I realized when I was there. If I had been born in Kenya, that might be me. Instead of me being the visitor.
Wow.
Because of life's circumstances. Because the women are there because of poverty, generational poverty. And so these are like the poorest of the poor, and they're usually not educated. They have children young, and their parents reject them because they have children, because they don't want to support more children.
Right.
And so they're desperate. And so they do, the ones that are guilty, they do whatever they can to survive.
Whether they're stealing food or whatever the case is.
Right.
Yeah, that. And wow. So you came back to America. Give me the timeline of writing the book, starting the ministry. I want to know.
Okay, so it was 21 years ago that I went there.
Yes.
The first time.
Yes.
And I just really felt this connection with the people, and especially I had a heart for the women because I just saw how they were treated. And so I started putting teams together and going back to Kenya about twice a year. And I would always go back to this one prison and take them some basic necessities because they didn't have them. And I got to know this woman and who had a baby in prison. And when he was 1.5 years old, she tried to give him to me to raise him as my son. So anyway, I even called my husband from Kenya. He said no.
Wow.
But, but I never forgot about him. And so I knew that he had to leave the prison when he was 4 years old. and he didn't have a safe place to go. And so I made arrangements for him to go to a private Christian school that a friend of mine there owned, and ended up over time with 5 children in similar circumstances. And I ended up renting a house and for them and putting them in a family environment. And so that was the beginning of it. And then a few years later, by the way, that baby that I met in prison, he's in college now.
Wow.
So, but when his mother was released from prison, I watched her to see if she was really changed and what she was going to do. And she really tried really hard, but her family had rejected her. She had no place to go. She didn't know where she was going to sleep that night when she got out of prison. So a friend of mine took her in for a few days for her to get her bearings. But through that process, I realized, so I decided to help her after I saw her struggle for a bit. And I decided to help her, and she turned it into a thriving business. She just needed a little help to get started, and that's what gave me the inspiration for building families for tomorrow.
What was her business, or what is her business?
Well, she had a business of salon and doing hair and sewing, because she knew how to do both, but she just didn't know where she was going to sleep, so much less be able to start a business.
Start a business or to grow a business.
Right. And so I spent like $300 and gave her a fresh start in life. And so today she's the matron and cares for all the children at our center.
That's amazing. So that was your inspiration for building families for tomorrow. So it's a nonprofit.
It's a nonprofit.
How long have you had the nonprofit?
We started in 2016.
Okay. So you're going on, 10 years now.
Yes, almost.
That is exciting to think about that. I mean, you're 10 years in. So, there are a lot of people who start a nonprofit. There are a lot of people who start a book and never finish it. Okay. I want you to speak to the limiting beliefs that would have tried to hold you back.
Yes. There's many of them.
So maybe pick what you believe were either you could say some of the hardest or some of the most prevalent, because not only do I want you to share 1 or 2 limiting beliefs, but what you did to overcome them.
Right. Well, the first limiting belief is I had no idea how to do anything like this. And so, how do I start a nonprofit in a third world country?
Okay, I mean, right there, that's a really good point.
I don't have experience with that, and and just how to do it, and and logistically, how do you start a nonprofit? And I didn't know any of it, and so what I did is I looked at, spent a lot of time in prayer, and I looked at the things I did know how to do. And so I wrote like a 5-page business plan. And then I thought, okay, so now I understand what the ministry is going to be and what it's going to do, but I don't know how to raise money or how to fund it or anything like that, because we didn't have the resources to do that. So I decided, again, to send out an email to 10 friends, and I shared my business plan with them and asked if they would be a part of it. And can make a 3-year financial commitment. And I got commitments for $240,000 over 3 years.
Wow.
Yes. And so my answer was, okay, God, I guess you really want me to do this, right? Because I know, it's like, this is an idea that I have. Is it from God? Is it from me? Yeah. How do I know? And so that's what I have done with everything, with building families, is just one step at a time. And sometimes the hardest thing to do is that one next step.
Yeah, it's so true. So I want to thread some of these things together of what you just said. When I asked you about limiting beliefs, the one that you landed on was, how do I do it? Right? There are a lot of things you didn't know how to do.
Right.
What the way you overcame it was you looked at, what do I know how to do? You wrote the 5-year business plan. You knew how to email people. You emailed 10, you asked, and then you received funding, right? And I think what's interesting about what you said as you were wrapping that up is that you just kept focusing on the next thing. And I believe that's one of the most unspoken ways, we just need to talk about it more, of how we overcome things that limit us, is that we do the next thing. We do the next thing. And because while we might not know the 6 steps ahead, we can take what we know and we can do the next thing right now.
Right.
I love that. And I'm so appreciating that. Well, obviously, that's one example of funding the initial portion of the ministry. How then did you start? Because you mentioned you have a center there, so maybe give me the cliff notes of the growth of the ministry so that I can understand kind of what it looked like from you were in a prison with 70 women on dirt to where it is now. Kind of walk me through a quick timeline there.
So we started out, we officially opened in January of 2020.
Okay.
And
what a great time to open.
I know. And that kind of shot my schedule on my 5-year plan.
It did. COVID.
But we built the ground floor of our residential building.
Okay.
And so we built that, and we had rented a place before and done a pilot program to kind of test what we were wanting to do with the women to see if it would work. And then we just kept working on our program and getting that really successful. And then we raised money, and now we have a 3-story building, and we can have 240 people at one time at our place.
Wow. And so when you say 240 people at one place, are they living there full time?
Yes.
Okay.
So when a woman is released from prison, she comes and stays at our place and for 6 months. And so we do training, we teach them a skill, either salon, sewing, or baking.
Okay.
And so we teach them one of those skills, and we also teach them basic business skills. We do counseling. We have a very extensive counseling program.
Smart.
We do Bible study and, parenting classes and things like that. So they live with us for 6 months. We test them along the way to make sure that they're learning things the way that they need to so they can be successful when they complete. And at the end of 6 months, we take, they get to choose anywhere in the country they want to live. And then we rent a house for them. We furnish it with everything they need, from beds, sheets, spoons, and knives and everything, because they have nothing. And then we set up a business for them, everything they need to start their business. And then we enrolled their children in school nearby, so that way the children get an education. And then we support them for 6 months on a step-down basis. As they build their business, we reduce
reduce your support.
Yeah.
Wow. So then is it the goal that after a period of time, they're paying the rent?
Yes.
They're sustaining themselves with the business.
Even the first month we pay 100%. The second month we pay about 80%.
Okay.
So they pay the rest.
Got it. So they start learning how to take that over.
Yes. So every month they pay more. Even when they're in our training program, we teach them, we set targets on how much profit they should earn every month, so that way they know what to expect. And then we visit them every month. We have accountability in place to make sure that they're doing everything that they're supposed to.
I am listening to you, and I'm thinking about your limiting belief of how do you do this? And I'm listening to you walk me through what you're doing. And I'm having a little bit of mind blown moment here about, this is how I'm going to say it, is that, but God.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
I mean, this is well organized. And you know, I'm coming at this, I'm thinking about this from the business mind because I coach in the business space. And I'm thinking you're doing so many important things to help them be successful entrepreneurs, to be self-sustaining and supporting. I mean, truly living into that, building families for tomorrow, because generational poverty can only be broken when they learn how to think differently. They learn how to live differently. They are able to become self-sufficient. I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah. And 94% of the women that have gone through our program are successful.
Okay, I just have to tell you, I literally was thinking earlier, I'm like, I want to ask her a percentage because I'm a numbers person. I love that you just offered it all on your own. 94%, that's a high
from the beginning
success rate. Talk about being able to show your donors the value of their contribution. That's so important. So important. I would love for you to share a moment where you clearly saw God's provision of faithfulness in building the nonprofit.
Wow. Every day. Really, he just brought me the right people. I have an amazing staff of 11 people. They're all Kenyans. And it was the right people, and they're all long-term employees. And so I think that's one of the keys to our success is that we have people, dedicated staff, and not just their
volunteers that are coming into the country.
No, they're not just volunteers coming in, but
I'm also thinking by employing Kenyans, that's life-changing for them right there because they have employment.
Right.
And also I would think just the emotional connection to wanting to see other Kenyans supported and their life improved.
And they also bridge the gap on the cultural nuances that I've learned a lot over the years, but there's still a lot that I don't know. And so they help bridge that gap.
Which is so important.
Yes.
I have to imagine that, here you are 21 years from that first encounter, that God has been educating your faith.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Yes.
So what does that look like? What, if you, you could approach answering this from a lot of different in a lot of different ways, but tell me about the faith journey that you've been walking parallel to building.
Yes, that's a hard question, but it's been a roller coaster, if I'm being honest, because I believe without any doubt that God gave me this vision, and the vision hasn't changed. And I have people surrounding me that can remind me of that whenever things get difficult and I question. That's the roller coaster portion, because sometimes it can just be hard. And it's like, is this really what God wants me to be doing? Why couldn't he give me, a ministry in McKinney so I didn't have to travel to Africa?
Yeah. That's a valid thing. And I think it speaks to that oftentimes we often equate hard to not the will of God. And when in reality, what's the value of the hard in faith development? I'm asking you that. What is the value of something being hard in the development of one's faith?
Ask that again.
Because we each of us, someone listening to this podcast doesn't have to be going to Kenya to be experiencing hard.
Right.
So what is the value of experiencing or going through something that's hard in the development of a person's faith?
And I learned this from Kenyans a lot. When you don't have much hope and things are really hard, you depend on God a lot more.
I agree.
You learn to really trust him.
Yeah, it's that sense of, he is my only hope. And that I was going to ask you, what have you learned about hope, resilience, and restoration? And that's obviously, so you were leading with hope. Tell me about the resilience and restoration, because, wow, what even just what you've been describing is so substantial is the word that comes to my mind. So
Yeah.
give me some more maybe context to what you've learned as you've observed, these transformations that have been happening.
That is the reward for me, is to see how the lives have been transformed and how children have a future that wouldn't have otherwise. And there's just so many different transformational stories that it's okay. I'm having a hard time coming up
It's all right.
with
So
something
just-
specific.
It's okay. It's that thought of, as I'm listening to you, and even as you were sharing about that, because I asked you about the process, right? Like, you take them from jail to 6 months at the center, you train them, you feed them, you house them, then you rent, you furnish, you give them what they need to start a business. You give them hope. Like, there is this sense of, I have hope of a better tomorrow by their very association with that. You give them 6 months to build a business, because as someone who helps people build businesses, you need resilience in building a business. It is not
do.
easy. Just like you needed resilience in building the nonprofit,
Yes.
because it was hard. It is
Yes.
hard. It's
Yes.
still hard.
It's still
right?
hard.
Right. So you got to have a certain amount of resilience in that. But what's interesting now that I think about it is that as a woman experiences restoration, it's as though that's kind of like a cycle in your nonprofit, right? You give hope, you help build resilience, restoration occurs, and that feeds hope.
Yes.
How does that land with you?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you say that, I think about the children, because that's where the hope, that's where we break that cycle. It's for the next generation, because the children wouldn't be going to school
Because they wouldn't have the ability to go to school.
They wouldn't have the ability. And so now they're going to school and they're completing school. And we have some kids that are even in college because their mothers are putting them in college.
Wow.
Because and these are people that have grown up in generational poverty. Wow. And so it's just incredible to see that people's lives can be so different. And it doesn't take that much from an American standpoint to make that happen for somebody.
So talk to me about the person who's listening, and it's either, I'm imagining a couple of different things. It's either stirring something within them, right? They're hearing the things that you're saying. And even what you just said, I think is important. Like, just in transparency, when you said you invested $300 to help her have a business, I thought, oh my word, like that could probably be $300,000 in America. I mean, depending on what you're doing, but I thought that is not a lot of money to help someone have a business that helps to sustain them and to break that cycle of generational poverty. So someone listening, they've got something stirring within them, or they're curious to learn more. Like, what are the ways that people can engage to better understand what you're doing within your nonprofit? Talk to me about how they learn more.
Okay. Well, we have a website, buildingfamiliesfortomorrow.com. And we have a sponsorship program for the children and also for the mothers. So there's donations set up for that. And then we also have mission trips if people want to go. We just built a guest house and we had our first team over last summer. We have another team going over in another month or so. And so people can go and see and experience it for themselves. And yeah.
That's exciting. It's
Yeah,
very, very exciting.
it is.
And now I'm curious, you started with your 10 friends and you ended up with $240,000, which is, just like God.
But God.
how have you, aside from individual donations, what are some of the ways that you are continuing to fund what you're doing over there?
Well, we have the Child and Woman Sponsorship Program. We have a gala once a year. So
that's coming up,
it
right?
Is.
When is it coming up? What's the
25th of April?
April, yes, that's right.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
That's wonderful. And do you have partner churches at all?
We have one partner church right now, Preston Trail Community Church.
Yes, okay.
And then we have Liberty University is a sponsor of ours. They're a large sponsor for us as well.
That is awesome. I love that. So, and then my mind also goes to, so they can sponsor a mom, they can sponsor a child. So do you have a business? Like the business startup, or would that fall under sponsoring the mom?
That falls under sponsoring the mom.
I was just curious, on
because the mom has expenses at our center when she's at our center for 6 months, but the majority of her expenses are after. It's in the second 6 months.
Got it. And
but we average it out for a monthly.
Monthly giving, basically.
Monthly giving, yes.
Oh, that is so cool. So when are you leaving to go this year for Kenya?
3 weeks, a week after the gala.
And how long will you stay over there?
I'll be there for 3 months.
And what is that like for your family, for you to be gone for 3 months?
Well, I'm a widow.
Okay.
So, my family's used to me being gone, my children and grandchildren. So,
yeah, that's so and now I didn't know that you were a widow, but how long has that been?
And it's almost 6 years. So right after, it was during COVID.
Okay.
I had cancer.
Oh, that's so tough.
Yeah, it was really tough.
I think because I was thinking about it, as soon as you said that, I thought, you called him asking, could you adopt this 1.5-year-old
right.
that she's trying to give you in prison to bring home, and which says to me, one, that you were even willing to call him tells me something about your relationship, right?
Yeah.
And I have no doubt that it's tough to not have that relationship.
It is.
So in what way has ministry assisted you in healing from your husband no longer being part of your earthly life?
Right. Well, it's given me, he was a part of the beginning of it, and he was there in January when we started, in January of 2020. We didn't know he was sick at the time.
Okay.
And then, but just knowing that he was my biggest cheerleader.
Yes.
And so he encouraged me all the time. And so I just think about that whenever I get discouraged, when things get hard, it's like, you know what? I know that he's up there cheering for me.
Amen to that. Yeah. Wow. And that, I think it's important. And I appreciate you being willing to share that, because I think there are certainly people, maybe it's not a spouse, maybe it's a child, maybe it's, a sibling or a good friend. I think death is one of those things that we just don't talk about enough.
Right.
But it is an important part of life, and people being able to navigate it well is also an important part of life.
It is.
And so, so I'm just appreciating your willingness to share that, because I was just imagining, as soon as you said it, I'm like, oh, well, that was hard whenever that happened. And, I'm so grateful to hear that he was able to see the first floor having been built.
Right. And a lot of the people there know him because he was there.
Yeah.
And so we still talk about him.
That's good, though.
Yeah,
that's another thing that I think is important, is that we continue to honor the memory of those who have gone before and who have played a role in whether it's development of a nonprofit or in the development of an individual.
Right.
That's an important part of, I think, the human experience, is that we are willing to do that. Okay, last thing before we wrap up. Tell people about the book. What can they expect when they get the book and they read it? And I also want you to tell them how to get it.
Okay. So the book, it's a collection of stories about people. So it's not like a novel. It's a collection of stories of different people. There's a story of Augustine, the baby that I met when he was 5 months old. The story of his mother. There's story of people that are on staff now for Building Families, and just people that were a part of helping create the vision for what Building Families is today. And it's each of their stories. And I wrote it at the time that we were very young. So we didn't have a lot of history to talk about successes of what we've done. It was more about the vision.
Yes.
But the interesting thing is, if you read it now, the vision has not changed.
Well, if you read it now, do you see the seeds of the fulfillment of the vision, like in the present?
Absolutely.
So when's the next book coming?
Okay. I don't know. You know what's funny is I actually had a thought last week about that.
Well, imagine that. Elizabeth's asking about it.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'm just thinking that, to have a 94% success rate and just from again, my business mind, I'm thinking about one of the prevalent things that are happening right now. I have a training on Stronger Together, basically the 5 generations that are in the workforce. And the younger generations care about causes, which means that companies who are desiring to build strong culture are finding ways to connect their staff, their people with good causes. So when I think about a 94% ROI, right, on an investment, I start thinking about, even a book that helps to really show that and make pathways for larger companies that would say, we could help with that. And our people would love it that we are helping with that. And so that's why I asked about the next book, because, the possibilities that exist now, or even just matching, right? Companies and corporations that match donations are, have grown as well. But I think the 94% speaks for itself, that God has truly blessed the work of your hands and your willingness to put in the work. It's making a huge difference in the lives of those people. How many women would you say have gone through your program since it started?
We've had about 65 complete. We started out very slow because we were working on developing our program.
Yes.
And so right now we have 68 women on a waiting list that we expect to join us later this year, that are currently in prison, and they want to join us when they're released.
So wrap us up with, what would you say to someone who feels God's calling them to step out in faith to do that thing?
Put your armor on, first of all.
Good point.
And take that step.
Ephesians 6, put on the whole armor of God.
Absolutely.
So that you are able to stand firm. It is so needed. And do you know what's interesting about that you say that? And I think about Ephesians 6. And he walks through that, all the different pieces of armor, one of which is the helmet of salvation. And, they talk about the helmet, which guarded the head. The head, if we want to focus on the brain and our thinking, it really does underscore the importance of guarding one's thought life.
It does.
And it is my passion that people would cultivate thinking that matters. So I ask every guest, why do you believe it is important to cultivate thinking that matters? What say you, Jana O'Guin?
Okay. What I think about from that is thinking about what matters.
Ooh, so the emphasis on what? Oh, I love it. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Because we can focus a lot of time and energy, emotional energy, thinking about things, brain power, that in the scheme of things, they just don't matter. But things that do matter is making a difference in the world, making a difference for God.
Mic drop. So good. Like so good. I have so enjoyed our time together and learning more about building families for tomorrow. So I want to encourage you, check out the show notes that are below. You can see how you can get involved, how you can donate, and really support what Jana and the team are doing in Kenya to break the cycle of poverty. And be a difference maker where that is concerned. Because ultimately, when you have thinking that matters, you are able to be a person that is willing to do what is necessary to be a difference maker in the world and also for the Lord. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here.